A Vision of the Future, 2001, A Space Odyssey, the film that summed up Arthur C. Clarke's blueprint for space travel. A universe of giant structures roaming the void and journeys among the stars. Born into a post office family in Minehead in Somerset in 1917, Arthur Charles Clarke was, even as a child, fascinated by rockets and space. The Second World War saw him serving in the Royal Air Force. It was here, while working with radar, that he predicted that if a satellite was launched to 22,000 miles high, it would keep pace with the rotation of the Earth and appear to stay in one place. Time proved him right and made communication satellites possible. Arthur C. Clarke's 80 science fiction novels, beginning with Childhood's End in 1953, have sold millions of copies throughout the world. His reputation as a writer led him to produce his most famous work, 2001, A Space Odyssey, with the film director Stanley Kubrick. Many cinema-goers were confused by the film, but its portrayal of HAL, a supercomputer with psychotic tendencies, opened up a debate about man and machine.
It'll be as large in our time as a century and more ago the work of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells were. Very influential in terms of shaping our feeling and our ideas about space and space exploration.
How much did he bring to the world of science fiction?
He brought a great deal to the world of science fiction because he had a background in World War II and working with radar. He was very interested in technology and also in humanities, history, and in what lay out in the cosmos. So in a period from the late 40s through, of course, the production of the movie 2001 and beyond, he brought a sort of a unique storytelling capability for science fiction, putting together technology, human origins, the search for other intelligence in the cosmos, these big picture ideas, putting them all together into very compelling stories that were more interesting and more complex than what other sci-fi writers were doing.
As I talk to you, Dave, we're just running shots from 2001, A Space Odyssey. Do you think that Arthur C. Clarke, as a visionary himself, foresaw the success of that work, which really propelled him into the mainstream consciousness?
I think he was very confident in his work, and I think he knew that it was very different than what others were doing at the time. And I think his own background with technology and with radar, some of the things that he pushed very early in the minds of other technologists and futurists. He was very interested in geosynchronous satellites. He was very interested in the concept of a space elevator that now has come to fruition in terms of a relatively easy way of getting things into low Earth orbit. He was very interested in these things and getting them through into others through his stories. And I think he was aware of the great influence that he had and the emotional influence that he had in a film like 2001.
Happy birthday to you.
Arthur C. Clarke was a visionary author and scientist, a household name in science fiction. His 1968 story, 2001, A Space Odyssey, written simultaneously as a novel and screenplay with director Stanley Kubrick, was a frightening prophecy of artificial intelligence run amok.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I'd like to see some evidence of extraterrestrial life. I've always believed that we're not alone in the universe, but we're still waiting for E.T. to call us or give us some kind of sign.
They're setting up the flag now.
Clarke entered the homes of millions of Americans alongside Walter Cronkite, anchoring television coverage of the Apollo mission to the moon. He's also credited with the concept of communication satellites in 1945, decades before they became a reality. In an interview with the Associated Press, Clarke said he did not regret having never traveled into space, but he added that arrangements had been made for samples of his DNA to be sent into orbit. Arthur C. Clarke was 90. For Larice, the Associated Press.